It was a Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. In Austin, Texas, the summer sun beat down with its usual relentless heat. People sought refuge in cool, air-conditioned spaces like the Target store at the Domain, a sprawling outdoor mall where life hummed along at a comfortable pace. Inside, the familiar red and white glowed under fluorescent lights. Shoppers pushed their carts, their minds on grocery lists, back-to-school supplies. It was a perfectly ordinary day, the kind you forget almost as soon as it's over. The kind you never imagine will become a landmark in your memory. It started with a sound that didn't belong. It was sharp, loud and violent, a pop, then another. For a split second there was confusion. Was it a balloon, a firecracker? But then came the third pop, and with it a new sound, a scream. Panic is a cold, fast-moving wave. It washed over the store in an instant. People dropped their baskets, their phones, their keys. The store, once a place of comfort, transformed into a terrifying maze. Which way was out? The aisles suddenly seemed longer, the exits impossibly far away. The epicenter of the violence was near the electronics and home goods section. Aisle 5. A place where people shopped for televisions and towels. It was there that one person's life was tragically cut short. A store employee, just 19 years old, had been helping a customer. She was the first victim. The shooter seemed to fire without a specific target. The randomness was perhaps the most terrifying part. There was no logic, no reason, just chaos. The sound of shattering glass echoed as a bullet hit a refrigerated case. Milk and orange juice pooled on the floor, a symbol of how quickly the ordinary can be destroyed. Soon the man with the empty eyes had a name. Police identified him as 28-year-old Daniel Reed. He was not a stranger to law enforcement. He lived in a small apartment complex just a few miles from the target. Neighbors described him as a loner, a quiet man who kept to himself. No one seemed to know him well. The timeline began to take shape. Reed left his apartment around 2:45 p.m., drove to the Domain, and entered the store just before 3:10 p.m. He walked directly to the sporting goods department, broke a display case containing ammunition. The entire incident lasted less than 5 minutes. The first Austin police cruisers arrived just 3 minutes after the initial 911 call. Officers saw people running from the store, their faces etched with terror. Without hesitation, they formed a team and entered the store. They moved cautiously, clearing aisles one by one, finding wounded shoppers and providing aid. Reed had made his way to the front of the store. Near the checkout lanes, he encountered police. There was no negotiation. When Reed raised his weapon, the officers fired. The confrontation was over in seconds. The immediate danger was over, but the work for law enforcement was just beginning. The entire area was transformed into a massive crime scene. As police secured the store, a crowd gathered outside the yellow tape. They stood in the sweltering heat, their faces a mixture of shock, grief, and disbelief. "I was just in there buying shampoo," one woman told a reporter, her voice trembling. "I heard the pops and I just ran. I didn't even grab my purse." A makeshift memorial began to grow near the store entrance. People came to pay their respects, to mourn the victim, and to simply be together. They needed to share their grief. Stories of small kindnesses emerged from the chaos. The community was shaken, but it was not broken. The whispers in the crowd were filled with sadness, but also with quiet resolve. Now, with the immediate crisis over, the long, slow process of investigation begins. They will analyze evidence, review footage, and conduct countless interviews. But even with all the facts, some questions may never be fully answered. The biggest question of all remains: why? The Target store will remain closed for the foreseeable future. When will it reopen? And when it does, how will it feel to walk through those doors again? The story of the Target shooting is now part of Austin's history, a story of loss and fear, but also of bravery and community. The final chapter has not yet been written. The lingering questions hang in the hot Texas air, a solemn reminder of a perfectly ordinary day that turned into an unforgettable nightmare.